Hello and welcome to the FilmBunker Podcast. My name is Nick and we're here to talk about movies and stuff. And today I am joined by Sorcerer Supreme Simon Hall. How are you?
Awesome. Great. I love it.
It's good
What
to
does
hear.
that mean?
Okay, we'll answer that afterwards.
All right, cool.
I'm also joined by the sensational Kelsey.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's a step down, I think, from Lord Supreme. Yeah. But I'm still curious to find out.
Alrighty, so I'm also joined by the friendly neighborhood Matt Lind.
I was going to say they're all pizza toppings.
Next up, we have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Ben Yaxley.
Oh, really? I'm not a fan of that one, to be honest.
That's pretty lame.
That is pretty lame.
No, I would have said, Ben, don't make him angry. Or something.
That's
just
fair.
I like that.
That's fair.
That makes sense.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. makes me angry, just as a thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on from this.
Kind of the point.
I got that. Everyone gets a nice one, I get the trolled one. Yeah, no.
Well, Matt got the troll one last time, so.
I guess so. We share it, apparently.
Yeah.
We're interchangeable. We're the same person.
We're the evil ones, apparently, of the
We're
podcast.
slowly becoming one entity.
Ugh.
I didn't mean that as a come on.
Can you cut us off, Nick, and keep going?
I was waiting for a lull, but there was no lull.
I was trying to give you one, but you kept interrupting.
Yeah, do it. So blame him.
Do it. Just cut me off.
And at the end, we have the queen herself of the Inhumans, Karen Kerr.
Queen?
Cool.
Wait, you didn't know that one?
No.
Oh, okay, nice.
No, I wrote a Wonder Woman one for myself. And apparently, I'm not allowed to do DC, so then he took it away from
Because
me.
then I can do a DC one next time.
And I'll still be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to piss you off.
Well, I was going to mix it up, and you were going to be the world's greatest detective.
Oh, that would have been alright.
nice.
That would have been alright, yeah. Too late
But now I can't use it.
Yeah, too late now. So, don't say what it could have been.
So, are you unsure still? Simon?
I was Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Cool.
Matt,
I got Agents of
you
S.H.I.E.L.D.,
obviously
but
got yours.
Oh yeah, yes. I'm very familiar with the X-Men.
You're hurting me. I don't know
You know,
why.
you don't know. It's,
What was my name?
It's the sensational. It's She-Hulk's.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I know mine. I'm Medusa.
Yeah.
Oh, I
I
didn't
don't
know that.
even know who that is.
Queen
in
of the Inhumans.
context of-
I know.
She's a
Yeah,
redhead
Medusa.
who has, like,
Hair
hair
powers.
powers.
Ah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's
I
pretty
guess.
awesome, though. Like,
Dan Lee was not on his head.
I don't. Oh, yeah. No, he would have created Medusa. Yeah.
To think of he created all those characters, though, that's so much imagination. I sometimes sit around and like try to come up with a superhero. It's really hard because Dan Lee's
Yeah.
done them all.
Yeah.
Hair powers. Oh, damn.
Yeah.
The best one I ever came up with was this character called Ecstasy Love Handle. And
That just sounds like a drag queen. But
well, it's funny you say that because we were sort of he's going to be this super flamboyant, very pro LGBTQ sort of superhero who's like annoyingly flamboyant to the point that all the other superheroes didn't annoy him because he had too much fun, and he would like play music everywhere he went. And he was in DC though because he fought Batman and was hitting on Batman at the same time, and it was this really kinky little relationship.
did they actually fight crime in any way?
Oh no, they just fight.
Didn't have time for that.
Yeah.
Just annoyed everyone.
What's his
apparently.
powers?
Oh, he's just self-trained. He's just a martial
So
art.
another Batman.
He's basically Batman,
Batman with
but he like throws glitter everywhere, which I realise is not appropriate.
Very
today.
gay Batman.
And it's not.
So
it's
is
not
it just
okay,
Freddie
but-
Mercury?
Freddie Mercury, if he was Batman.
Okay.
Yes, that was basically the character.
How do the love handles enter into the equation?
Yeah,
That was just the last name we came up with, and I
Wait, there was
don't.
multiple people thought of this thing.
The whole project.
This took like a hive mind of intelligent people to think of.
Well, I wouldn't say intelligent. And he had this assistant that would go with him, but it was basically stolen from Punisher because Punisher had his like guy in the van. There's this guy in the van that would play ABBA everywhere. And it was like, ecstasy. You don't have to be like you can break these stereotypes. You can be progressive and just be like a normal superhero. It's like no, and jump off buildings and stuff. Laser light shows and everything. It's a reason I don't have comic books.
What the fuck was all of that?
Yeah.
Should we go into talking about some news?
Let's.
Sure.
Ben, I know you had some news you wanted to talk
I
about.
guess so. It's not interesting news, but it's news that I find it just weird. So, and it delves into my world of video games, so I'm glad to always do that. So, they're making a Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah.
I forget if it's if it's CGI or if it's...
It's a mix.
It's a mix? Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought so, which is fucking weird. The idea of it is weird. A couple of weeks ago, they started announcing people in the voice cast. The person playing Sonic is Ben Schwartz of Parks and Rec fame. But the interesting one is who they got for Eggman, Dr. Robotnik, the villain, was Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I heard that.
So, he is actually...
He's a good choice.
I would support that, actually.
I mean, I don't support a Sonic movie.
the whole
The whole thing is, and I'm just like, how much did they pay Jim Carrey for him to do that? But I mean, he has a magnificent voice, and he'll probably suit it really well. I just thought it was a really bizarre casting, to be totally honest.
I don't understand how they're going to even make this movie. If they're saying it's like a mix, so what is it going to be, fucking Space Jam with Sonic?
I guess so.
It sounds a bit Space Jam.
Yeah.
Who framed Robert Rabbit?
which doesn't. It's that's a very
not good
old.
anymore.
No, it wasn't good then either.
It worked in some stuff.
Yeah, like in Who Framed Roger Rabbit it worked, but also that was hand-drawn animation, not
CGI.
Not CGI.
CGI.
They haven't. Can they even make good Sonic games these days?
Oh no.
I think that's
kind of.
yeah. It's been up and down. Like when Sonic,
They have quite. If the highs are like okay, and then the lows that go into hell, and it's a weird place. It's honestly weird that because the stories of a lot of the games, it's like set in the human world, but they're these weird Sonic the Hedgehog characters, but they're talking to humans.
Yeah.
And
Space Jam.
yeah, that's it's just all a mind fuck for me, to be totally honest.
Who's the voice of Tails?
I have no idea.
Michael Jordan.
Soul.
I don't know who else they've announced, to be totally honest, but those were the two key ones that stood out.
Jim Carrey. He'll.
I have nothing against that.
Oh,
just
I can see
find
him
it-
pulling it off.
Yeah, I think he'll probably be the best part of that movie. Ben Schwartz will work because he's also in DuckTales, the new DuckTales.
Yeah,
He plays one of the Huey, Dewey, or Louie.
yeah,
One of
one
those.
of three.
So he's actually quite a good voice actor.
Yeah.
And that's fair, and that's the character of Sonic kind of works for him. But yeah, Jim Carrey was the really bizarre one. The whole thing's bizarre.
Has Jim Carrey ever done any other voice work?
Not
think
off the
anything.
top of my head, but in concept, I can see how well he would be really good because
I
he's a
can
very
see that.
animated person, and even that comes through with his voice as well.
I'm just thinking like Grinch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, anytime when
Actually
he's had
true.
to sort of impersonate
The
someone
Mask,
in
even
particular. Yeah,
like
you can
Ace
kind of
Ventura is basically a
pull off-
caricature.
pull off voices and.
Yeah,
What's
no.
the story?
Oh,
Is
God,
there
no fucking
one?
clue.
Yeah, no, there's-
Collect rings, I suppose.
Yeah, it's gonna be rings
There's a whole
involved.
thing with like Chaos Emeralds and crap, and I'm not going into Sonic lore. I don't know what the hell it's gonna be. It's all bizarre. I just found the Jim Carrey thing quite interesting. And also, they're apparently making a Simpsons movie too.
Oh, you stole Karen's news.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to talk about Detective Pikachu as well, and then it's just Simpsons now.
Well, you can talk about that.
Detective Pikachu is where they're getting this idea from. I think.
Is that the
because-
one with its Pikachu, but it's like a real gruff human voice?
Well, no. What happened was they released a trailer for Detective Pikachu the game, which is just like a spin-off Pokemon game, and then they redubbed it with Danny DeVito from Always Sunny, and like it was just funny. That's all it was. And then like after Pokemon Go was released, they said we're going to make a live-action Pokemon film. And then everyone was like, that's going to be interesting. Live-action Pokemon, CG little critters, it might be cool. And then they said, no, our live-action Pokemon is going to be Detective Pikachu. And everyone's like, why? And it's like a Hollywood blockbuster. They're doing Detective
I know it
Pikachu.
is, yeah.
No one's been cast yet. And
No, Ryan
everyone...
Reynolds is supposedly playing Pikachu.
There you go, Ryan
Yes,
That's amazing.
I'm so seeing that.
I'm pretty sure that they're aware it's just balls to the wall and they're just going with
Yeah.
it.
If
which
Ryan
is
Reynolds
fine.
is involved.
Yeah,
absolutely,
exactly. That kind of gives it away.
Yeah, so this was announced like 2 years ago, so it's really weird to me now that suddenly, oh no, we're doing also a live-action Sonic. And it's like, but...
Yeah, well, that got announced a while
It's
ago.
also a different
Yeah.
company anyway.
Very different.
Yeah.
I don't know who's doing the Sonic one. I can't remember.
Not sure.
They're obviously trying to make that whole concept make a
Satan's
comeback.
doing
Yeah.
all this.
Yeah.
Satan,
Sounds right.
Satan made modern Sonic what it is. but I'm trying to not get into that.
So then there's also Simpsons 2.
Simpsons 2.
Simpsons
yeah.
2.
Oh.
Well, I've heard conflicting articles about this. Some people are saying that it's in development, and then people who actually work on The Simpsons saying we're not doing a movie unless the show finishes. Because when they did the first Simpsons movie, they did that at the same time they were still doing the show, and it said it just ruined their company for a good while in terms of work, because they were working on a feature-length film and also a weekly TV show.
They brought back a lot of the old writers for the first film, and it actually the show seemed to get, obviously not up to classic standards, but a bit better after they did the movie as well.
The movie itself, I think I've got rose-colored glasses about it, because it's fine.
It's fine.
It's okay.
It's not amazing.
No.
It's not the funniest film. It's not.
No.
The Simpsons movie 2 film is not what the Simpsons show is to television. It doesn't have that same sort of cultural impact.
I think it was just the novelty of seeing that
Bart's
Simpson
penis.
Well, yes, the crudely drawn
That
penis.
scene was great.
It was. You didn't think they would do it, but they did. I think it's just the novelty of seeing The Simpsons on a cinema screen, and it's like nice and shiny and polished.
You knew it was coming for years and years. It was just kind of surreal when it hit.
I think for me as well, like it was sort of the last time that The Simpsons kept that type of humor as well.
Yeah.
Since then, they've kind of gone like almost down like a Family Guy route, where they're trying to go with what humor they think is popular. Whereas Simpsons did really well by having its own unique style of humor, and then they've kind of lost that along the way. So for me, I seem to remember anyway that movie being the last time I enjoyed Simpsons content, and then when I went back to TV, I was like, oh.
It's pretty accurate,
different,
yeah. Well, when did the movie come out? It was
2007.
Was it 7?
7, really?
Because I remember Green Day were in it, and it was around the height of their kind of after American Idiot fame.
Yes, it was after. It was very much after. It didn't feel timely to me at the time. It felt a bit.
Well, when was American Idiot?
2004?
Yeah.
Right.
okay.
But they were touring for those 2-3 years, so they were still one of the big... They were like the biggest band in the world for that point.
I remember that.
Yeah, so they had their little cameo, and then they sunk.
That was so
They
good.
played the violin
Yeah.
as they sunk.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Right at the start of the film.
That's right. I remember very little about that film.
Same.
I watched it a couple.
They
months
go to
ago.
Alaska?
And
They
there's
do
a
go
dome.
to Alaska.
It's
Yeah.
like they're in a dome. That's great. That's an interesting development. But they announced that alongside of the there's a Family Guy movie that they've said that they're working on, and a Bob's Burgers movie, which seems like the most in developed one right now. That's actually definitely going to happen. And I'm like, that's nice, because I don't watch Bob's Burgers. I don't know if anyone else does here.
No.
Seen a few episodes. It's okay.
It's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think a Family Guy movie would be very good.
No.
I also don't think Family Guy is very good.
It used to be for like 2 or 3 seasons, and then went down. But I don't think that format of their comedy really works in a film.
So actually, maybe in the sense that Seth MacFarlane is quite a cinematic he's got quite a big personality. Maybe he'll do some sort of stunty kind of thing, because he also doesn't mind blowing up his stuff either. Whereas
That's true.
Simpsons is kind of chained to its own traditions, which actually weren't there when the show was quite subversive in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then it's like, they're this nuclear family. They've got to be this nuclear family. They were a parody of the nuclear family. And now they're like almost archaic, because Marge should have divorced Homer years ago for his abusive behavior. But they're just...
Of her and the children.
yes.
Yeah, Homer should be in prison like several times over.
Bart had it coming.
Hey, he didn't do it.
Classic.
I didn't think people would pick that up, but there you go.
Well, you got like, what was it, 3 or 4 at the start of last week's
Yeah, but they were really obvious.
Yeah, they were super
Yeah, this one was, I tried to be more subtle. But no, that's most of the news I've heard.
Cool.
From
So
the
what
initial
else?
world.
Is there any more to the story?
No.
Not really.
And
It's all
no
just
plot
speculation.
yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even with the Sonic one, I don't think they've said anything about plot or anything. But frankly, if you ask them about plot in any of their games, there'll probably be question marks about that as well.
Yeah.
So.
We believe that Sonic is a hedgehog. We're not sure.
You know what? They actually don't. Don't. I'm not getting into it.
Is he an alien?
Probably.
Yes.
Right?
I couldn't be surprised.
Have you seen how he looks? He doesn't have knees.
How does he
Why
run?
is that the thing?
That's something I've noticed. He doesn't have knees.
He's also blue.
Yeah.
That's actually the more
I
normal
would
part of it.
start with that.
They should do like a Marge and Sonic crossover. where they're in a hairdresser with Medusa and ecstasy love handles, who is not the hairdresser. We need to move past these archaic stereotypes. Ecstasy love handles is just there getting a nice haircut.
That just sounds like a scene in the new Wreck-It Ralph.
I will destroy that franchise.
But yes, that's all I've got.
I do hope they bring back the old writers and they do put the show down finally, because it's
Yeah, that was the more interesting part, was that they said they wouldn't do a movie unless the show finished. So I'm wondering if that's alluding to everyone wanting to finish the show. Finally.
Al Jean's been the showrunner on it since 2000 and 0.
Could have just ended with it.
He took over from Oakley and Weinstein, finished up in season 8. So season 9 and 10 were recent, and then 11. So 2000 he took over.
Yeah, that
and
sounds
he's been doing it for. They used to change showrunners every 2 years, and now Gene's been doing the same thing for 20, and it's not good. Stop, Al. Go home. You don't. He did The Critic. That was really good. He can reboot that or something. Go home and spend time with your kids.
No, I think he wants a paycheck, unfortunately.
I think he wants another couple of $1 million.
Probably. Because I don't know how well Simpsons rates these days.
Not that well, I don't
Well, not compared to its original.
No.
No, and
Form.
it just, you don't know who's the target audience now. Like, it's just so...
I think it's shifted quite
completely
dramatically.
lost its identity. Like, I don't think it knows.
I think it would just be
who-
people who have Fox on at that time.
It was always one of those shows,
People
right?
who
If
still
it's
eat
on.
steak in front of the television at that time.
Preteens, I guess? I don't know.
I
Teenagers?
think they've switched to sort of like
Young
a middle.
adults.
I was going to say like a middle American
Yeah,
target
true.
audience, especially with sort of the political shift where they went from being sort of left wing into more becoming the Fox that they used to make fun of a lot.
Yeah.
I think they're showing their middle age a bit. A lot of the writers and
They're showing their old age.
Yeah, well, yeah. I say middle age because I'm approaching them.
No, it's old age. They need to go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of the writers are changed by now, though. There's a lot of new
most of them,
ones.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who's writing on it of note right now. But all the original ones have definitely gone.
But I have some news about the Watchmen TV series. Has anyone heard of that?
No.
I know The Watchmen.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's HBO has actually just ordered a full season of a Watchmen TV series.
Perfect platform. HBO.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think there's much news about it.
Will there be Dr. Manhattan penis? That's what
It's
the internet
HBO,
will be
so
asking.
there probably will be.
Yeah, I'd say there'd be more than one penis. And let that be what you take away, listeners, from today's talk.
But Damon Lindelof is doing it.
Oh, I'm not happy about that. I don't like him at all.
You guys not fans?
No.
Who's that?
What's he?
Yeah. What's he done?
Lost.
Oh.
The bad part of Lost.
Oh, the
Oh,
Mo-
okay.
That's most of Lost. But yeah, like after the first season, he was the guy who took over. He had a
Oh,
hard
okay.
job, obviously, because J.J. Abrams started it. And
Yeah.
When J.J. Abrams starts things,
He doesn't
there's
finish
not
them?
a lot of
Yeah.
places to go with them. What else did he do?
Did he
did
do
the
The
Star
Leftovers?
Trek film, the first Star Trek film of the new reboot.
No, that was JJ again.
That was JJ.
Sure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was JJ.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. He did The Leftovers, as Karen said.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't
The
seen
Leftovers wasn't bad. I liked The Leftovers a lot. I watched the first season. Apparently it got better in the second season, but I just didn't watch it. Because HBO is just so hard to get.
I
But
think that was FX. The Leftovers. You sure?
it's HBO.
Huh.
I'm sure it's HBO. The first season was really interesting in concept. Plot-wise, didn't go many places. It was a lot more of a character kind of study,
Right.
which could fit Watchmen. Like, it was well done, and the acting in it was really great. There were some weird ideas in there, but I think since Alan Moore has written Watchmen already, the only thing
You can't stuff up their plot.
the only thing I don't really get is that we already have kind of a scene-for-scene adaptation of Watchmen already.
Well, that's what I was
So-
confused about. Like, what are they going to tell?
The one thing that, because I've been thinking about it, because I've seen a lot about it over the last couple of weeks, the one thing I think that they'll probably will get more done of in the new TV series is probably a lot more of the old Watchmen, so the Minutemen. They'll probably
So they'll
have a lot.
incorporate before the Watchmen, the comic series before the Watchmen. You know when they did
Oh,
that.
please no!
But
Please no!
That's the thing. If they're going to do it and they're just going to redo the original,
No,
then
but
they will
can
probably
put more
incorporate that.
Minutemen in it.
Yeah, Minutemen is one of those.
Yeah,
One
but
of
they
those
shouldn't.
series.
Yeah, they shouldn't incorporate that series to me, because I think if you're gonna do a Watchmen adaptation, do Alan Moore's Watchmen. Alan Moore has said, "I do not want Before Watchmen to exist.
I
I
know.
don't mind that it exists as a comic, but I feel like if you're gonna do a TV adaptation, it would be a bit."
I know, but I'm saying
Of a-
what they would do for a TV adaptation to pad it out would be include Before the Watchmen. It's not about whether they should or shouldn't. It's that they
Yeah,
probably will.
What they do. And like maybe do like that suit that format of kind of flashing back and forward in time and stuff.
Well, I thought that because it's 13 episodes, so I thought it would be one episode per issue.
Sorry, one
And,
episode per penis.
One episode per issue, I thought, and then they would just include the, other bits from the comic that they couldn't put in the movie.
Yeah, so I've just kept reading about it, and it said that it's not going to be a remake of the film or a literal adaptation of the comic. It's expected it's going to be familiar characters set in present day.
That's worse.
It's not promising, is it?
It's
Yeah.
just getting worse
Alright.
as you more you talk about
Actually,
it.
can we include Before the Watchmen now?
Well, I was going to say that it might just take sort of Alan Moore's philosophy, because he kind of used Watchmen to pry apart the old superhero tropes, like Superman is all powerful. How can we explore the consequences of that and make him more interesting and realistic? So it might sort of just be superheroes that have consequences.
I just would prefer, only because with Alan Moore, I feel a bit bad for him because he had so many bad adaptations of his work. He gave up before Watchmen, so I didn't watch Watchmen, which is arguably the best adaptation of his work that he's got.
And the best film Zack Snyder ever did.
Yeah. And then now, he didn't want prequel series, but DC did it anyway, and then he doesn't want this and he doesn't want that. And I just feel like if you are going to pull apart the superhero genre and you are going to do this subversive superhero thing, just try and be creative with your own.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
I feel like using, especially Alan Moore, who's very, well, it's my thing. I want it to stay mine. Can you please keep it mine? And then everyone else is like, we'll just take the characters. It'll be fine.
Don't sell it to Hollywood then, bud.
Yeah.
That's not what you do as
Well,
an author.
he
ever.
sold it to DC back when
Dark Horse originally.
Dark Horse originally in the 80s. And there's been this ongoing battle where when in the 80s when he sold it, it wasn't, that it wasn't known to him what would happen to all of his rights and stuff. So all the rights went to Dark Horse. Then Dark Horse was bought by DC. And now DC has it all. And they're like, when DC bought Dark Horse, that's when they went, we'll do Before the Watchmen. And they're now DC characters. And
Oh no, they had owned them for a period of time when they started that.
But
Yeah.
he didn't want that to happen, and it's just one of those things. But I'm just like, leave it alone.
But he hates adaptations in general, so you kind of have to ignore Alan Moore a lot of the time because he just hates everything. Doesn't matter what it is.
Well,
He
hated-
does seem a cantankerous sort of
Yeah.
fellow.
Yeah.
He hated the adaptations of his work though because they were terrible when he was actually with them. He went to see the films and he hated them because it was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and From Hell. So and then Watchmen came out and he was like, I swear off, you can make adaptations if you want, but I swear off them. I'm not going to go see them. Don't force me to go see them. And then everyone's like, but go watch Watchmen. You'll feel better. It's fine. But yeah.
Stephen King also hated his adaptation, the adaptation of The Shining.
Shining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hated it.
He hated it.
Famously, so I guess sometimes writers just want their baby to stay young forever, but it grows up and stops talking to you and it's really goals.
Yeah, I think they just need to realize that. Well, yeah, get maybe a better lawyer to look over the contract
Yeah,
if that's
that
what you
first of all.
I always hear these stories with Hollywood. If a writer sells it and it's adapted to screen or whatever, they always tend to hate it or have problems with it. I'm like, well, you
Well, then
knew
don't sell it.
surely what you were
Yeah,
doing. You accept that
Yeah.
when you deal with Hollywood.
It is tricky. I mean, writers by now should know that their work's going to get mangled. I mean, but there's not much a writer can do about it. I mean, with creative accounting and, that's obviously the financial side of things, but there is, you think something's going to happen and then all of a sudden it changes directors and things out of your control and you're like, what? And you're watching the movie, I didn't even know it was coming out.
I feel like Neil Gaiman's done a really good job with his kind of creative control because every film that's an adaptation of his work has been pretty good. And he's doing the new Good Omens series and he's showrunning it because Terry Pratchett, that was in development hell for ages. They were going to do a movie, then they were going to do a TV series with Monty Python crew as the showrunners and things like that. And then Terry Pratchett died, and apparently Terry Pratchett was like, it's all right, I trust you, Neil. You just deal with that adaptation if it ever happens. So now he's in charge of it, and it's in full steam ahead. I think it might be in post, or it might be still filming. But I find that authors that do have, because he has quite a strict kind of grasp on, I am going to be involved in any adaptation. I think that's worked out for him in a way that I think other authors need to kind of realise. If you don't want your creative control jeopardised, make sure that you keep, that in your contract. Same with J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, she had enormous control over casting, and she was on set all the time.
She had it in her contract that she had to be in control of it.
Yeah.
It's like the movies are her mind on screen. The way they
Yeah,
casting,
for sure. Yeah.
the casting's just so... Alan Rickman was who I imagined Snape to be, and I didn't even know who Alan Rickman was until I saw that movie. I was like, oh, hello.
No one else could ever play Snape, or even any of the characters from Harry Potter.
Except for Richard Harris and
Michael
Michael
Gambon.
Gambon.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But I remember even thinking that, because Richard Harris was the perfect Dumbledore when I first saw him. I thought, that's Dumbledore.
Yeah.
But as the books go on, Dumbledore's role gets more and more grisly.
Intense.
Yeah.
And it's like, that has to be Gambon. That has to be him with like the grey and the...
Yeah.
He can't be the old white frail man, because he's going to have to like shoot stuff around.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he
Fighting,
does a lot of weird things in the later books.
Michael Gambon shoots stuff so around. And he does weird things.
Yeah.
No, I find with Harry Potter, like, I watched this interview with JK, and she was talking about the casting and what she did with it. And Daniel Radcliffe was, like, in conversation with her and just said, oh, well, they were going to hire American. They were going to film it in America.
Yeah.
And that's why his dad said that, because the casting agent saw Daniel Radcliffe and went, he's Harry Potter. But his dad was like, no, you're not touching my son, because he's not moving to America. He's not going to do this. Obviously really down-to-earth parents that understood, that child stardom could mess up a kid. And at the time, they're thinking of filming in Hollywood. And JK went, I didn't know that, because I would never have let that happen. And it was her thing. It needs to be filmed in the UK.
Yeah.
It needs to help the economy of the UK. It needs to be all English actors. It has to be an English film. And it was just really interesting that she had that power to go, no, I wouldn't have let that happen anyway.
I find it interesting that they actually, did what she wanted them to do.
Yeah, she would have, imagine the money she had.
Yeah.
At that
Yeah.
point, even,
True.
no movies yet, but the books went on fire.
That's true.
And then she would have had a really good team behind her that would have been not letting her sign a thing until it was like she had all the power,
And that's
basically.
why they wanted those movies made. Because
They did.
That
They
was
could
money.
see the cash cow.
Yeah, it shows how much they really wanted those movies made. Because I feel like there'd be a lot of situations where the studio just goes, all right, no, stuff this.
I think they should do more open
If only that
casting.
happened more often.
Yeah, they actually should too.
Like, I just think the movies that have done it, it's been incredible. Like, it's always really good. Well, in those cases, child actors suck. And they had to rely on it so much. Like, it was their entire plot of, 12-year-olds. And it was awesome.
They did kind of suck, though.
They did. They're not great. They're not great at the start, but they don't.
But they get better.
They
The
get
movie
better.
doesn't sink, because
No,
of it. The cast
exactly.
around them is so good, and they picked up. I don't know if they actually did learn directly from their cast. That might be a bit of a romantic view, but they did grow tremendously, and it's almost by osmosis. Like, how can you be around Maggie Smith and not become a great actor?
Oh my
Exactly.
gosh.
Yeah.
I like to imagine that there was a lot of influence from the older actors. Because you kind of have to play that
Oh, they
role model.
talk about it, and they talk
Yeah.
about how, Alan Rickman scared... Daniel Radcliffe said that Alan Rickman scared him.
Yeah.
And he was so afraid of him, but he was the loveliest man, and he was always there to teach him how to act, and to give him, some
Pointers and
I can imagine
pointers
that.
and things like that. But, he was, as a 12-year-old, just really intimidated and scared by him.
Oh, I would be. Absolutely.
No, that was 2 movies in.
Then by the last movie, I was still intimidated. No.
I feel like open casting should be more of a thing. But big names sell movies, really. That's how they see it. They don't see it really as the movie sells the movie.
That's the part of the system I don't quite like.
Yeah.
Like the idea of stars and stuff like that. And I think that's, for me, when I watch movies, that's detrimental to me, because then I expect a lot of things from a certain actor, or they're just Brad Pitt to me now.
Yeah,
it
true.
doesn't matter in a little bit of a degree with Tom Cruise. I'm just like, it's Tom Cruise. Like, what's the character's name? Oh yeah, it's like Ethan something or other. But it's like,
His name was Jack.
No,
That's a different
Jack
movie.
Reacher.
Okay, never mind.
But yeah, he's become this person, and for me that, while I guess like I might go because I like Tom Cruise or whatever, or you kind of go like, yeah, I know what to expect. I think it's bad for unique movies, like to kind of make them special. You're just kind of like, oh, I'm just watching Brad Pitt do this, or I'm just watching Angelina Jolie, like all these people that are just stars. They're not even characters anymore.
I guess they just do that to obviously get you in the seat, and then any result after that they don't care about.
Yeah,
Because you've already bought your ticket.
Yeah, but I feel like that's why a lot of franchises are dying off really quickly, is because, you know, with the DC movies, they were like, well, hire all these actors that you know about
Yeah.
as these characters. Whereas in
Marvel hired a lot of people a bit further in though, about like say like Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
And
yeah, but
Later
that was
on
a
in
bit,
their
it was
phase.
yeah.
a bit later
Yeah.
on. Chris Pratt to an extent.
Chris Pratt was a surprise.
Zoe Saldana
time.
was a decent
Yeah.
actor by that point. Like, well, had a decent profile, I guess. Is what I'm trying to say.
I mean,
I feel-
even early on, you had like Mark Ruffalo and Scarlett Johansson. And
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
There was
That's
a lot
true.
of star power even from the start.
yeah, Robert Downey Jr. was more of a surprise because it was like the thing that lifted him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he was down for a while.
Yeah.
He was
But
down.
Chris
in June.
Evans and Chris Hemsworth were not.
They were surprises.
Yeah.
They were surprised. And also, like, Chris Pratt was a surprise because
Yeah, I
he
think
was
so.
only in Parks and Rec at that point.
And still
He
fat.
wasn't a star. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was
he
not
got,
a
he
star.
got beefed up.
And then with Scarlett Johansson, she wasn't as big as she is now either. She was in a few things.
A lot of Woody Allen flicks.
Yeah, but she wasn't.
She was pretty massive.
She was Lost in
She was
Translation.
pretty-
Lost in
Yeah,
Translation
she-
in 2000.
Out of a lot of the people who were on in the early Marvel movies, she was probably the highest.
She was one of the highest, but I don't think she was.
Sexiest woman in the world for quite a while.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that too.
true.
Publications and stuff. So.
But yeah, I
But
feel,
besides her,
yeah, I feel like DC just went.
Well,
Oh,
we've got Samuel L. Jackson as well.
Well, yeah,
Kind
true.
of forgetting about that.
I thought his name was Jack.
but that's his retirement like thing. I love that. He just
Yeah.
kind of shows up, gets paid a few
Cameo,
million,
yeah.
and then he can just retire now because
No,
they'll always
yeah.
have them.
No,
Because he's
he
still
can
the
do that.
most. Because it was for a while, Harrison Ford was like the highest grossing actor in history. And then Samuel L. Jackson overtook him. And then Harrison Ford came back with The Force Awakens.
I think it's Samuel L. Jackson.
I think it might be Jackson again.
I think so.
I'm going to look it up.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's Samuel L. Jackson.
Which is a nice feel good story for a guy who just, you know, a lot of his breakout roles were motherfucker this, motherfucker that in
Yeah.
Tarantino movies.
Yeah, he's come a long way.
And he's done really well for himself. And he does the block. For like.
Tom Cruise is the highest grossing actor.
Oh,
I
wow.
guess Fallout's doing well.
It's Tom Cruise, Eddie Murphy, Anthony Daniels,
Murphy.
Robert Downey
Eddie
Jr.
Murphy?
Eddie
No
Murphy.
sense.
Eddie Murphy?
Robert Downey
How much
Jr.
did he get paid?
No.
Eddie
Don't care.
Murphy.
Don't care about
Let me
the
finish. 'Cause the two you said are on here, but they're nowhere near the top. So you've got
Just give us a number.
Robert Downey Jr., Morgan Freeman, Tom Hanks, Harrison Ford, then Samuel L. Jackson.
Ah, damn it.
So Tom,
Wow.
But Eddie Murphy.
actually, sorry, no. All right,
Your easy lips upside down.
the list is upside down. I just started at the top and went
Yeah,
down,
yeah.
but that's
So it's
the
actually
lowest at
Samuel
the
L.
top.
Jackson?
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
So he's right.
yeah.
Hey.
Then why is Eddie Murphy making more money than Tom Cruise?
He was
this is-
he was huge for a while.
Yeah,
too.
he made
Shrek.
a lot when he was at his peak.
And he also did the like around Dreamgirls, which got a lot of critical acclaim. It was also Norbert,
Yeah, let's not talk
Yeah,
about
also
Norbert.
got critical acclaim.
the
From
Nutty
idiots.
Professor 8, and all those.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
so is this
right.
all time then?
yeah,
Yeah, of all
every
time.
movie
Yeah,
I
they've
thought it was
ever
like
been.
Chris
this
has
year.
time.
No,
He's
not this
fine.
year.
Yeah, I was like,
This year would be Tom Cruise.
He
I'm
looks
guessing.
great.
Yeah.
He has time.
Yeah. So Tom Hanks is third. Yeah.
Oh,
Then
That
we'll-
makes sense.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
down from there. Yeah.
old
No,
Tom
but the list was upside down.
That makes more sense. So it's Samuel L. Jackson right now.
Yeah.
Is there
good
much
for
of it?
him.
Is there much of a difference between
So
him and
Samuel L. Jackson is 5.1 billion.
Yep.
And Harrison Ford is 4.9 billion.
Okay, so
Wow.
it's a
Pretty
decent. Yeah.
So if Harrison Ford has any sort of flashback in
True.
the next Star
Exactly.
Wars,
the one
Yeah,
scene,
yeah. It's
and then Samuel L. Jackson's like, "Crap, there needs to be Incredibles 3
well, no,
now."
he's in. No, Samuel L. Jackson's going to be in.
Oh right.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, yeah, and he also he's probably pushing for Mace Windu.
I was gonna say. I
Yeah.
thought you were gonna say Mace Windu. Honestly,
Force Ghost.
nah, he dead. Probably.
Mace Windu.
Well, there's all these. I think there
There's
were all
a
these
lot of
theories about
theories.
him
There's
being
a lot.
alive. Actually,
He come
yeah.
back as a Force Ghost.
There's a lot of
That's
theories
true.
about him being a
Didn't,
Sith, and
didn't he
didn't
get
die.
his head chopped off?
No,
No, he fell off a
He
massive
got
building.
blown out.
Yeah.
He chopped off.
Electrocution.
But then
That's what I was
there's all these theories of like he could have survived the landing because of Jedi reasons, and it's like
It's
fuck
very
off.
hopeful, isn't it? It's very sweet.
I think it's Samuel L. Jackson putting it all out there, like hoping that the directors pick it up.
Put me back in. It's also just because Mace Windu's a badass, but you know.
So, Matt, you saw The Darkest Minds this week. I thought we'd do a quick recap of that and see what you thought. Tell us about it.
hoping you'd
just a
forget.
little bit. Just a little bit. You don't have to go too
He's
far.
been reminding you all week. So.
It's not Harry Potter. Let's put it that way. They're hard movies to review, ones like that, because they're obviously aimed at a specific audience that I'm not a part of anymore, as much as I pretend and lick the lollipop and wear the propeller hat as I go and try to fit in. The cast does a pretty good job for young actors. I think the male lead is 22 years old, and Amandla Stenberg. It's not Amanda, it's Amandla.
Amandla.
God.
Okay, well, doesn't
Amandla.
she needs a another vowel between her D and her L in there. She's great. Like she actually does a really, really good job, and she's only like 19 years old. So she very endearing performance in a really blah movie. When I went to see Fallout, like there's the sound. We're talking about the sound design in the last podcast and how it's like everything's really crunchy and gritty, and it's got these nice sounds. And Rebecca Ferguson's on her motorcycle, and she's like going past the pillars, like doom, 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 doom. So this is really like visceral and great and exciting. In this movie, their powers are like really screechy, and every time they use their telekinesis, it's like, oh no, this is really unpleasant. And it's you see the sort of the act structure. It's not really, you don't get emotionally invested enough to sort of really feel that the characters are bonded when they do their little bonding talks and all that sort of stuff. So it's completely missable, really, unless you're a big fan of the source material, which maybe
is it a novel?
It's based on a series, it's based on the first in a series of 5 novels. I don't know if it's ongoing, but written by a very young author. She's 31, and she's already done written 5 in that series, another novel, and some Star Wars spin-offs, and
Oh my God.
she's killing it. And that's really what I took from The Darkest Minds, was that it was not so much like, here's this great cultural milestone in its own. She's co-opted all these things that already exist and made them work for her and her benefit and what she wants to get out of it, which is, I guess, a profitable little...
So it's pretty average. It's just average.
It's very average.
No sequel to come? No sequel vibes?
Yeah, did they allude to a sequel?
There's definitely... They'll make sequels. And I actually hope they do get made. I just don't want to see them.
Was this... I heard it was by the producers who did Stranger Things. Am I getting that correct? Because that was part of the marketing, I think I heard for it, from the producers of Stranger Things.
I can imagine that they probably would try to market that if they had that.
I think that was the only pull that they had.
Yeah, from the producers of Stranger Things and Arrival, apparently.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
The director did Kung Fu Panda 2 and Kung Fu Panda 3.
Natural choice. Oh dear.
Jennifer Nelson, I think her name was.
Are there any other big names attached to it?
Mandy Moore's in it.
Okay.
She's Mandy Moore. She's also not aging. She's
Oh,
also
okay.
looking like Mandy
That's
Moore.
nice, I guess.
Good for her. She's
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
well. I mean,
That's fair.
it's not a powerhouse performance, but she's fine.
Yeah.
She's there.
Yeah, I've forgotten the actress's name, but she plays Phasma in the new Star Wars.
Oh,
Oh,
Gwendolyn
yeah.
Christie.
She's in there. She's quite hammy at first, but then when she actually gets a scene, she's fine. It's very fine. It's just...
Which is almost probably the worst thing to say about it.
It's the worst. Like, if it was
It
awful,
doesn't get anything
I
from
would have
you.
gotten a little masochistic mental bone from it. Like, oh, this is awful. I love it. But it was competently made, slightly annoying.
It's a C.
The dialogue's a bit blasé. Like, the characters are supposed to be super intelligent, but they're, like, put down to, like, yeah, you're stupid. It's like... It's not very well it's got these ideas of intelligence designating what power you get, but doesn't really seem to understand what intelligence is. And it's
Which is ironic.
very ironic. It's It's shit. I'll stop using my words.
You're being really nice
I'm
about
trying
this.
to be. No, it was just. It's
No,
not.
if it's crap, say it's crap.
No, it was. Yeah, it's crap. Don't see it.
If you want to hear more about it, or read more about it, Matt did a review on the website.
I wrote 1,500 words for some reason.
Why?
Trying to get articulate how it didn't make me feel.
So I don't know if anyone saw anything else this week new. I know you guys finally caught up on Fallout, but we
was
spoke about that
great.
last week.
Is it? I don't know if you talked about it last week, and I apologize if you did. Did you
Sorry.
hear? Oscars are bringing in the new category.
Yes.
Did you guys
We
talk
did.
about
We
that?
did talk a lot about.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
you did talk
stuff,
about it last week. Yeah, that was interesting.
What was the category again? It was
People's choice.
People's
essentially.
Choice. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. that's right. It was I forget. Was that? It's not voted by.
I don't know.
Okay.
But I've come
very
up with
new.
some more categories that I think that they should do.
Okay.
Best movie with Tom Cruise. Best movie without Tom Cruise. Best movie without Tom Cruise that could use Tom Cruise.
I would watch those awards.
Samuel L. Jackson blockbuster of the year, which is a blockbuster that
He
doesn't.
appears in vaguely.
He can't be in it for more than 2 minutes.
So Infinity War and that's it.
It might take films a while to catch up with these categories and start producing.
All
more
these
movies.
categories have one film in it.
Your best appearance by an archaically offensive stereotype gay superhero. I'm trying to get XC love handles in there. We'll see if he makes it, but I might have to get him to get played by Ryan Reynolds. And
Well, he's playing Detective Pikachu apparently.
Yeah, he's already busy.
taken.
Yeah.
But I could get Samuel L. Jackson to appear in it for 2 minutes, so I can.
Do you know how much that
double
would
up on
cost?
Oscars.
I think he just takes whatever at this point.
That's true.
It'd be worth it just to get the 2 Oscars
I think
for that film.
I want to say that he only gets paid just so he can still have the title of highest paid actor of all time. So the moment Harrison Ford beats him, he's like, "All right, I need a new job,"
Yeah.
and he actually just does a proper film.
Well, he took Snakes on a Plane because it was called Snakes on a Plane, and then they wanted to change the name of it because they were like, it's
They
a
realised,
ridiculous
yeah.
name. And then he said, I am quitting this film if you do not call it Snakes on a fucking Plane. And he wanted that line. He was like, I don't care. I'm in it. I know it's a bad movie. I'm in it for that one line, so I can say.
Yeah, he got up at the
Jake-
MTV
Wow.
Awards and said this is the best film of the year. he loved
great
that movie.
Yeah, he was just like, no, I want to be in Snakes on a Plane, and I want to say the line, and that's all I care about.
But Sam, we've changed the movie. There's no snakes and there's no plane anymore. It's gonna be called Snakes on a Motherfucking Plane, and I'm here to say the line. He also stipulated in Star Wars that he didn't die like a bitch, and that he got a purple lightsaber. They were his
Yeah,
stars.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
he got
Yeah.
the purple lightsaber he fought over, and they made some weird law reason as to why he has a purple lightsaber.
Yeah. They did.
Because of Sam Jackson.
I would love to be an actor of that caliber. You just get whatever you want.
Well, actually, there's a new movie that's coming out at the end of this month that I'm really excited for. Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh god.
Yeah,
It looks really interesting.
Looks odd.
I saw
I'm
the trailer
excited.
for that.
Yeah, same.
That was forced upon me during my Darkest Mind screening, and I remember that more than the actual movie I saw.
It's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's
Yeah,
gotten
I'm
good
excited
reviews.
for that reason and like representation because it's like all
Yeah, that's
Asian
true.
cast and stuff.
That's
So I'm
true.
like, that's kind of exciting.
It is
and just
exciting.
in normal roles.
But yeah, that's really, really cool. But it does look a bit shit. Like, at the same time.
It does
in
look
the
pretty
best
bad.
kind of rom-com way.
Yeah,
I'm
it does.
So excited.
Yeah. Like they're just like the girls' one-liners are like.
It looks.
Oh,
he's
girl,
hot.
you got nasty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I'm so stoked. I like my trash.
That's how I talk in real life. Just I try to leave it behind on the podcast.
Has anyone seen the trailer for was it called Slaughterhouse Rules?
I've never even heard of it.
It looks...
What the hell is it?
A Halloween movie coming out in October. Simon Pegg is a teacher in like a school, some sort of zombie outbreak or monsters or something.
Yeah, it's
it
like
looks
a...
nuts. Looks really good.
It looks really good because it's like one of those like British public schools, like the really fancy kind of ones that have been there since the 1800s, and like they're just very British about everything, and they're just like everything's fine, even though it's an obvious haunted school.
Yeah.
And there's like all of these, and yeah, it's a zombie outbreak, and there's like a pit to hell.
Yeah,
and
there's a
they're just
great
like,
line with
this is
Nick-
fine.
It's pretty Simon Peggy, isn't it?
That is very Simon Pegg.
So it is horror comedy. It's
Or is it
like-
horror?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There's a great line in the trailer with Nick Frost, and he's telling all the kids about like this pit to hell, and then right at the end he just ends it with, "All right, so who wants to buy some drugs?"
Cool.
That was actually not a part of the movie.
No.
It was just left in
Oh, yeah.
director's cut.
When's it out?
Yeah, in
Halloween.
October, Halloween.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, on Halloween, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Interesting.
So, should we go on to this week's bunk battle?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, in the bunk battle, we take a look at two things and see what should be stored in the bunker at the end of the world. And Karen's going to give us our two things if she's thought of them.
Yes, so let's go old great animation versus new great animation. I'm going to make it Simpsons versus Rick and Morty.
Easy.
Yeah, but yeah.
Now we need to clarify.
Right, yeah.
No.
What
seasons
Simpsons?
of The Simpsons?
What Simpsons?
The Simpsons.
All of it?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Oh, hey.
fuck. That sucks. That sucks.
But the thing is, it's
I-
going in the bunker, but you don't have to watch.
Well, if you're saying
all of it.
I actively hate what's happened to the show to the point.
Yeah, it's
that
too.
I don't-
It makes me salty.
No, I have to go Simpsons. It is my favorite comedy show of all time. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Especially season 3 to 8 are just, you can't find a weak episode in there. It's classic.
I'd argue 1 and 2 are also exceptional.
they're great. Yeah, they're great
Yeah.
seasons, but it's 3 that really kicks it up.
it's the prime.
And 9s and 10, you get good episodes, but it starts to lose. It's like there's the golden episodes and there's corona around them, and then you get into trash. I just think it's what drove me to want to be a writer and to do comedy, and to I think that it's really just this untouchable cultural milestone that has influenced so much. I mean, when you go back and you look, the comedy is so innovative, and we don't sometimes appreciate how they sort of, all the writers took their growing up in the 80s and so irreverently satirized
Yeah.
the world, and the world has changed because of it. And now you have comedies that spring out of that, and it's like, well, they're more exciting than The Simpsons. Like, yeah, they're in the pot of dirt that The Simpsons laid down. Rick and Morty season 1 and 2 are really, really funny and sharp, and more jokes per second than probably any other animated comedy that's existed. I think it does some really brilliant things, and it's those. I've rewatched episodes. I'm like, this is great. I'm just a bit reluctant to project an evergreen quality onto it.
Yeah.
That it's going to always hold up, and that it's, especially because season 3 I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as most people seem to. It had that. It was sort of. It felt like it was regressing to just. I'm Rick, I'm drunk, I'm Rick, and, hey Morty, mermaid puss, mermaid puss, mermaid puss. I'm saying mermaid puss a lot, and it's like, oh, you're funnier than this, guys. I know you can do it. And girls, they put like half the writing table season 3 were women, which is really great. I'm really excited to see season 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I think they signed on for like 10 years or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's concerning. I don't know
70 episodes.
I don't know how long. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it'll have that longevity.
Yeah,
That long.
I don't. I'm
think,
curious
yeah.
to see, but I've got to go Simpsons.
Well, yeah, I think that's probably the only reason for me as well. Like, I'm the same. I really enjoy. I like how smart the humor is in Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Like, I just really enjoy that, and I think it's really unique. But I think I'm the same. Like, just Simpsons was like one of my favorite TV shows as a kid, and I think it built my humor as an adult now. Like. And my life is still 90% Simpsons quotes, and I think if a show can do that, it breaks my heart that new stuff has to come, because I am honest and I have not even watched it. I didn't watch The Simpsons after the
bunker,
movie.
you just don't watch it.
Yeah,
A guilty pleasure of mine, sorry to cut you off there, but a guilty pleasure of mine is watching new episodes of The Simpsons every now and then and hating them.
I can't do it.
I sit there, I'm like, oh, I hate you so much.
I can't do
You're
it.
a bit of a masochist.
I'm such a masochist. I go home after these podcasts, I whip myself, I'm like, oh, naughty boy, leave Brie Larson alone. Oh, I love it. And I'm just blood coming down my back, and I'm like part of the day. What's Opus Dei Masochist Club in the Tom Hanks movie. It got him to number 3 on the box office list.
I don't know what you're
Da Vinci Code.
That's the one.
Da Vinci Code.
Oh, that one.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the priest
I'm
who
Paul
tortures
Bettany in
him.
that. I'm just
Okay.
hit me, daddy, except I'm my daddy, and that means I hate myself a little bit. There was a new episode recently where Homer just repeats refresh, and it's like, you remember the rake gag with such a bomb.
Yeah.
And you've forgotten the context around it and how it... And
Context and also just comedic pacing and timing.
there's none, and they've forgotten
Exactly.
the rules of comedy. They can't
Yeah.
do jokes like in structure anymore.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll just be going about my day and I'll realise it's something that I think is really hilarious, and I'm just, I'm so funny. I'm just walking around the shops or something. has come from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, that joke structure, what is that from? And it's a line that Homer says, but I've sort of subconsciously just shifted it into my everyday life. And it does, I think you say 90% Simpsons quotes probably
100%.
permeates more into us than we realise. I think
Yeah.
that's probably a good statistic.
Yeah, I gotta go with The Simpsons as well. I love Rick and Morty, but The Simpsons was something I grew up with. 100% The Simpsons.
Nostalgia and I think what you said about longevity. I think that kind of is the basis for me, that if Rick and Morty had a little bit more to look at to see its scope, like to see
absolutely.
where it was season 1 and where is it now, whereas like I can't, like you said, I can't quite judge moments sometimes where I'm like, oof, like is this comedy gonna, I don't know, are you losing it already? Like
You see that dating, like in the newer, not even the new seasons of The Simpsons, but in seasons sort of like 11 and 12 and around that mark, the quality drops off. But a lot of people will say to you, oh, you're just being picky, or it's nostalgia for your favourite episodes and that sort of thing. But that comedy gets quite dated.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is quite problematic now, and considered problematic by people who are sort of progressively minded. And whereas you go to the classic episodes, and I'm sure you can rip it apart and find things if you want to be really pedantic, but for the most part, because they rewrote it so many times, and it really does boil down to the funniest parts of what they could come up with, it lasts so well. And it's timeless compared to the timely episodes.
Yeah.
Even just a few years later.
I know The Simpsons has won already, so that's fine.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
am going for Rick and Morty purely because I was the person who watched it when it was on.
Yeah.
I never sat there and went, I'm going to watch every episode of this. I watched more South Park when I had my own TV than I did watch The Simpsons. And I would watch The Simpsons like episode after episode because it was on in like 4-hour chunks on Fox 8 at points.
I watched all of it every weekend.
Yeah,
It was great.
I enjoyed it. And it
like
was
a weird drug trip.
entertaining.
It is.
Yeah, it was entertaining to me. And I get a lot of the references, not every one of them. But as an adult, like, it's the same thing. I'll watch it. It's entertaining. I might have a chuckle. But I just don't ever find what everyone else says they find in it. And I don't know. It's probably a problem with me. Just not getting it.
Well, no, not everyone's meant to get it.
Yeah, like,
Really.
I can see why things are funny.
Yeah.
It just is like, okay, that was entertaining.
Believe it or not, there are people in the world who don't have a love for The Simpsons, and that's fine.
Yeah, it's just, for me, it's like, it's entertaining.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
see the value in it.
Yeah.
But Futurama
Yes.
was
a
where
great show.
I got
See, if-
most of my, like, I connected with it. And I was like, yes. And I think that's why I'm going for Rick and Morty, is because I finished episodes in that. Even in season 3, like, I'm not saying season 3 is incredible in comparison to the rest of it, but I feel like people were a little bit harsh on season 3 because I feel like the fans and the everything around it took
Yeah, that as
over
well.
season 3.
Okay. So I wasn't aware of that. I just thought the show was still universally beloved.
No,
I kind of backed away from it.
People got pretty sick of the fan base because it became quite obsessive.
Is that
Yeah.
the Source stuff where they like...
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Szechuan sauce things. And as an intellectual, Rick and Morty is above anything that your tiny mind can comprehend.
It can sour the image
And
of
I
the
feel
show.
like that soured the image of the show.
Everyone thinks they're Rick, but really most people are Morty.
Yeah.
They don't realise it.
People want to be Rick, and then you think, why do you want to be Rick? Because,
It's like people latched on to Pickle Rick without realising what Pickle Rick as an episode was about.
About his demons and his avoidance
Sense
issues.
of, yeah, and like the whole psychiatry speech at the end was phenomenal, and no one really cared because it was like, but it was Pickle Rick.
Yeah, he's a
and
pickle, yeah.
He's a pickle.
Wow.
And it's like, that was the like the way that it's marketed and the way that people were with it. But as a show on its own and me watching it, my experiences with it, like I can quote it. And because there are only 2 seasons so far, and the fact that it comes out with so many quotes, so many things that I find, and like the improv comedy and the way that they go about things, I just really love. And I feel like they have signed on for this many seasons, but I didn't expect it because I didn't expect Dan Harmon to do something like that. So it interests me that he has signed that big deal because
He's an interesting man.
yeah, he is interesting.
Give him that.
And
Yeah.
I don't feel like it will go the route of The Simpsons. I feel like there may be misses in it, but I do not feel like it will just become this corporate entity. I feel like Dan Harmon is interesting enough that when season 7 rolls around, if season 6 was weird beyond belief and season 7 suddenly has brilliance in it, I think that that's how it will ebb and flow, like kind of Community did.
Yeah, I was going to say that's very much what Dan Harmon does.
I can see what you're saying. I think it'll be more like South Park in the sense that Parker and Stone are so involved that The Simpsons is well more so. I mean, it had the great writing team for quite a while and it's great minds that passed through, but it was a room full of writers as opposed to a table of a couple of individuals, really.
Yeah, and I think I like that auteur kind of perspective more. And I know that Rick and Morty is corporate in a sense where there's merch out there and people wear Pickle Rick t-shirts, but not to the extent that The Simpsons even was when I was a kid. Like, everyone had Simpsons backpacks, Simpsons Trappy Keepers, Simpsons... and it was all Bart Simpson. Everyone likes Bart Simpson. Like, when I was in school and they wanted to be like Bart and they said cowabunga and there was the do the Bartman dance and people did it. And like,
I
to
think I
me,
did that,
Did Bart say cowabunga?
Very early on.
Caramba?
Very
Yeah.
once,
is it?
like
It was
in
like
like
Caramba.
Is it
Right?
Icarumba?
It
Yeah.
he
I
says
didn't
Says I Caramba.
he says cowabunga like really early on in like the first 1 or 2 seasons.
On his
I
skateboard.
carumba a little
Yeah.
bit more so later
I
on,
caramba.
but it didn't last very long.
Yeah, and to me, like, that real 90s kind of
Cheese.
cheese is what sticks with me. Whereas I watched Rick and Morty for the first time as an adult, I guess, and I knew the people behind it, so I think I'm more... And I'm excited about where it's going, and it hasn't died yet, so I like that hope at the moment.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to vote Rick and Morty as well, just because The Simpsons has so much shit. It doesn't deserve it doesn't deserve 5-1. I think it deserves 4-2.
That's
So
fair.
I support that. I'm glad you did that.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. And I think that is a fair point because I am angry enough at the show now.
Yeah.
If I would consider trading all the great episodes just to like stop them. Stop.
I'm actually pretty torn. I haven't really watched either of them. So I don't know what I'm going to vote, to be totally honest. Yeah, I know.
Don't. Like, to be honest, I was like, Ben can just say Simpsons, and we'd be like, yep, we know.
I can't say anything that hasn't already been said, honestly. I think it's the one show that our generation, it is our generation.
Do you think?
You know what I mean? Not the actual characters, but the impact it's had.
It's very integral to our generation.
Exactly.
Oh,
We
yeah.
were-
So I think it is integral to our generation.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think it spreads
Like
to
the
all
thing is, we
generations.
kind of
It's
didn't
quite
grow
a-
up as it was coming out because we were probably too young. But we grew up with those reruns of all the
That as
classic
well.
episodes.
Yes.
Yeah.
For
At
sure.
6
So
o'clock
that's what we were
after-
watching.
And yeah, like it was on for 4 hours every Saturday morning, and I watched all of it every week. And I played the video games and just everything. And
Simpsons Hit and Run.
Simpsons Hit and Run was the bomb.
Beautiful game.
Simpsons Road Rage, which was just Crazy Taxi, but The
love that
Simpsons
game.
was awesome. Even The Simpsons, there's an RPG or something at some point. Just everything, like it's I can't say anything that hasn't already been said by everyone else because it is a phenomenal show and it's impacted me in many different ways. I will say though, if you said Simpsons vs. Futurama, this would be a very different story. Very, very different. That's very tough because if it's all of The Simpsons because Futurama is pretty blemishless
No, it's not.
The latest
Yeah, I
season.
wouldn't say so.
compared to The Simpsons, though.
Oh yeah, compared to
To me, I get that everyone talks about the Simpsons and seeing the later seasons of the Simpsons and being really upset.
I haven't even seen them, and I'm not going
I
to.
am upset by the later season. Like the comedy,
Yeah.
the thing is, it sounds counterintuitive, but as soon as it left Fox, like
No, it's true.
the Comedy Central stuff just really irks me.
Yeah.
But the final episode was okay.
Yeah.
So I'll give it that, and it ended.
Yeah.
Which
and
it knew when
Which
it was
I always have a
done.
respect for a show when it knows when to end.
Well, The
which
Simpsons,
doesn't.
the Futurama always had more of a sense of a
Story.
Yeah.
story
Yeah.
or a serialized.
Yeah, it was
world
serialized,
that
yeah.
It's going to come to an end at some
Yeah.
point.
Which is, The Simpsons kind of goes back and forth between serialization and not. Because characters can die in it.
Yeah, they'll change for good.
Yeah, they'll
something,
have big character impacts. And,
Yeah.
But then at other points they just forget all of that.
Didn't they a couple of years ago do this whole marketing thing where a main character was going to die and then it wasn't a main character? It was
can't
just
remember.
They do that every couple of years.
they said, "Oh, they're going to die for good this time,"
was
and it was like someone's.
Yeah,
It was
that was a big push
Dad?
with Maud.
It was a big deal when Maud died because it showed everyone, people can actually die in this world.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was after Maud, and it was
someone
like,
else.
and people
I think I
thought
know.
Sideshow Bob was going to die because they said it was like an Oscar winner.
They'll show like
Right.
it'll be like Homer and then Marge and then Ned Flanders, and they'll show this character you've never seen before who's gonna die. Okay.
Oh, they did an episode like that.
Yeah.
It
We
was
played
so
Marky
sad.
Who
Spoonie
Shot
before.
Mr.
Who Shot
Burns?
Mr. Burns?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
great.
I always forget that was a season finale.
Yeah, it's a two-parter over
Yeah,
2 seasons.
yeah, and like that.
brilliant.
Yeah, but
And
the
daring.
the wait between those 2 seasons must have been like when it came out would have been
excruciating.
nuts. Yeah,
Excruciating.
But it just took it from Dallas, so that was.
who cares?
Yeah, no, I know, but everyone's like, "That's revolutionary." I'm like,
It's not
"Dallas!"
revolutionary. It's just like they're just characters you care about. That's all The Simpsons is, and that's the difference between old Simpsons and the new Simpsons. Is they go for modern jokes about the modern world and technology and all stuff, but then they forget about the human aspect of it.
Yeah, the human aspect and the actual subversive nature
Yeah.
of what it was originally intended to be.
And also the subtlety of the comedy.
Subtlety and the
balls.
And just they used to rewrite everything
Yeah.
like 40 times. Like, let's boil this
Yeah.
down to the absolute funniest it can be.
Yeah.
And now you can tell that it's a first draft of
Yeah.
some
It's going through the machine.
guy
basically.
who wrote a sitcom in the 80s once. It's- Which is actually, I think there is a writer. He used to write on Empty Nest. that writes pretty awful episodes now.
But still, The Simpsons won. And I think we'll wrap it there for today.
I could talk about Simpsons for a while.
I know.
Hence the massive cutoff, but yes.
So thanks for listening, everyone, and we will see you next time. Bye.
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 If you don't like ecstasy love handles, I do have this concept about 4 people who have a bar that travels through time.